Let me just say a few words. It is very hard to sum up the feelings after these 4 weeks in the courtroom. We've heard dozens of witnesses in this courtroom. And those witnesses, journalists, academics, intellectuals, they've exposed lies. All the lies that have been presented in the case against Julian Assange. There was no hacking. There was no conspiracy. There was no harm. And when we peeled off the layers and layers of lies that have been presented, we are left with the truth. And that truth has been presented in this court in a very bleak manner. The truth is, this is journalism on trial. This is the fate and the future of journalism that we were hearing witnesses talk about here. But the other horrible truths that were exposed as well were the truth exposed by WikiLeaks, which we again heard of. The assassinations of innocent civilians, the torture, the illegality in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and in Guantanamo. Those truths were exposed here. I ask you, would you not agree that this is not a trial of Julian Assange? In essence, it was a trial of our time and our civilization. Because we heard about all these horrible incidents that happened on our watch and in our name. We cannot change the past, but we need the truth about the past. But we can change the fate of Julian Assange. And after all these 4 weeks, we should be in no doubt that there's only one thing that has to happen as an outcome of these proceedings. If Julian Assange is extradited, it will mean darkness for us all. It cannot happen. We must take a stand. There can only be one outcome: no extradition.
Richard Medhurst. The lack of access to journalists during this extradition hearing is an abomination. The lack of media attention is an abomination, even not just among corporate news media, but also independent news media. Some of them even putting out statements saying that, oh, where's the attention on the Assange trial? And criticizing them and then continuing not to cover the Assange hearing. This is an attack on press freedoms. It's an attack on whatever semblance of justice the UK system has. It's a violation of EU law. It's a violation of UK law, US law, international law. And it's a fucking abomination that we have Julian Assange being put on trial for exposing war crimes. We have Chelsea Manning that's been tortured and then thrown back once again in jail for exposing war crimes, uncovering mass graves of 15,000 Iraqis. And the people who committed these war crimes, Tony Blair, George Bush, Jack Straw, they're all gone. Paul Wolfowitz, Don Rumsfeld. We didn't even hear their names once inside this goddamn courtroom. You know, this might be the city of London, but it's the United States that's holding the gavel. They're the ones running this show, and this is disgusting. And everything that WikiLeaks did, everything that Julian Assange did, these were valiant acts of anti-imperialism. And they need to be portrayed as such, and we need to recall the real crimes that they exposed here. It's not just an attack on freedom of press. It's an attack on the very lives of people that are bombed every day, the people that are killed every day. We talk about them like they're ants or something. This is unacceptable. And they want to make us feel sorry for imaginary informants that were never hurt. And the United States, by their own admission, told us that no one was ever harmed by WikiLeaks. So what's going on here? This is a disgusting violation of Julian Assange's human rights. It's a disgusting violation of journalistic freedoms and the freedom of press. And it's an absolute mockery of any kind of semblance of justice in this country. Thank you.
Approaching the 11th year of Julian's arbitrary detention. 1.5 years under house arrest. 7.5 years locked in a room in the Ecuadorian embassy. And moving to 1.5 years in the Belmarsh maximum security prison is a crime. But also I'd like you to consider what the result of leaks and the publication of war crimes. So in 2006, American soldiers in Iraq murdered an entire family. A mother, father, children, uncles, aunties, grandmother. Looking at their crime, they thought of a way out. So they called in an airstrike and destroyed what was left of the children and their mother and father and uncles, grandfathers, all of them obliterated. This was released in the cables. It gave enough insight and courage to the Iraqi government to refuse to renew the status of forces agreement. In other words, a publication of WikiLeaks and Julian stopped a war. So I'd like you to remember that. I'd also like you to keep forever in mind that these heinous deeds can be turned just as easily against us. So if we succeed in carrying upon our shoulders and using our strength to free Julian, it brings that freedom to us, and it prevents and it gives us the status and strength to resist the murderous crimes of a rogue state and its vassals. And from Julian, when I speak to him on the phone, he asks me to give thanks to the journalists and the supporters. So, from the heart, thanks.
Julian and I would like to thank everyone for their kindness, the kindness that has been shown over the past few weeks. Every action, every show of support means so much for us, and we would like to thank you all for helping us continue this fight. It's a fight for Julian's life, a fight for press freedom, and a fight for the truth. Over the past 4 weeks, the true nature of this prosecution has come to light. Julian is being punished for performing a public service that we have all benefited from. He is in prison because he informed you of actual crimes and atrocities being committed by a foreign power. That foreign power has ripped away his freedom and has torn our family apart. That power wants to put him in incommunicado detention in the deepest, darkest hole of its prison system for the rest of his life. Julian faces a 175-year prison sentence. Most of the charges relate to simply receiving and possessing government documents. Under oath, the prosecution concedes that it has no evidence that a single person has ever come to physical harm because of these publications. Julian is not a US citizen. He has never lived there. He did not sign an oath to the US government. He should not be sent there. Julian's duty is to the public to publish evidence of wrongdoing, and that's what he did. The US administration's prosecution is trying to make normal journalistic activities, which are entirely legal in this jurisdiction, an extraditable offense. If he's sent to the United States, Julian will not be able to argue the public interest of his publications because there is no public interest defense. And because he is not a US citizen, the US says that he does not have free speech protections. The US administration will not stop with him. The US says that it can put any journalists anywhere in the world on trial in the US if it doesn't like what they are publishing. The US administration is exploiting the lopsidedness of the US-UK extradition treaty to deny justice to the family of Harry Dunn and to force cruelty and injustice on ours. This case is already chilling press freedom. It is a frontal assault on journalism, on the public's right to know, and our ability to hold governments, domestic and foreign, to account. Terrible crimes were committed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and terrible crimes were committed at Guantanamo Bay. The perpetrators of those crimes, they're not in prison, but Julian is. Julian is a publisher. Julian is also a son. He's a friend. He's my fiancé and a father. Our children need their father. Julian needs his freedom. And our democracy needs a free press. Thank you.